There I was, standing outside my father's study, heart pumping wildly, palms sweating, teeth clenched in fear. I had asked both my parents to meet me there, foolishly thinking my mother might be some kind of buffer against the tirade I was sure my father was about to throw. She's the one who called, "Come in." I opened the door and crept in. They were both sitting there, ramrod straight upon the love seat that sat against the wall. As I mentioned before, my father was an accountant and would often have clients to the house to conduct business, so they had spared no expense in making the environment friendly. Mahogany paneling covered half of each wall. The remainder of the wall space was painted in a soft cream with a sage green trim along the top below the ceiling. The drapes were a beautiful buttercup yellow. I had asked to have them in my bedroom, but my mother had said they were too expensive and a waste of the resources God had been kind enough to bestow upon us. I had plain white vinyl blinds in my window. Despite the warming effect of the room, I felt cold and scared. I didn't know whether to stand or sit, so I shifted back and forth between each leg. My mother didn't even bother to look at me. She found more interest in picking at some non-existent string on the love seat, and my father just stared at the wall above me, also not really looking at me, as if my little old 16-year-old Abby couldn't possibly have anything to say that would have been worthy of interrupting his day. He tapped his foot. "Get on with it, Abigail," my mother said, and I winced. Just the word Abigail meant trouble. "I'm not a baby anymore," I started, but decided that was too condescending, as if my parents didn't know how old I was. "What I mean to say is, I'm old enough to make decisions for myself." And my mother cut me off. "If this is about college again, Abigail, your father and I are firm. You will live at home and attend the state school. There is no reason to throw away good money on one of those fancy universities." I shook my head. "No, it's not about college, Mother." I bit my lip, hoping the pain would sober me and keep me from a sharp comeback. "It's about babies," I blurted out. "Babies?" my mother cried incredulously. "You know I can't have any more babies," my mother said, a bitter sadness in her eyes. My mother had lost 2 babies following the birth of my little sister. My parents had wanted more children, a fact I couldn't understand, but after the last miscarriage, my mother had hemorrhaged and the doctors had to perform a hysterectomy. They said it was God's plan and they would have to live with his decisions, but I could see the pain. I shook my head again, more slowly this time. "Not you, Mother. Me," I said, my voice a soft fluff of words, but loud enough to be heard. "What did you say?" my mother demanded. I looked at my father, who sat with his fingers laced together, 2 fingers sticking up, like he used to do when my sister and I were little and he would play Here's the Church game with us. He just kept tapping his 2 index fingers together, his eyes stonily boring into me. I didn't answer my mother's question, as I took it to be rhetorical. After what seemed like an eternity, my father spoke. "No, Abigail." His tone was low, guttural, commanding, as if merely by demanding no of me, my body would comply. I almost laughed, but I didn't, catching myself just in time. My mother, taking me totally by surprise, rose from her seat, strode across the room, and struck me across the face. "Whore," she spat. My mouth hung open slightly, and I could feel the tingle where she had slapped me. I would have expected it of my father, but my mother? My mother, in all of my conscious memories, had never struck me. I raised my hand, caressed my cheek. "Do you think that will make it go away?" I asked. Her response was to slap me again. This time I stood straight as an arrow. My mother reached out, grabbed a handful of my hair, and dragged me through the doorway and up the stairs, stopping outside the bathroom. "Get in there," she demanded. I narrowed my eyes at her. My heart started thumping so hard I could feel it punctuate my breathing. "Why?" "We are going to wash the seed of the devil away from you." I wasn't sure what she was talking about, but I complied. I would have been more than thrilled to make this whole thing go away.